So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for all the beautiful comments about the sound healing video and what you felt and saw and how you perceived that. We're here today to look at an area I've been digging into, which is the void of moon, because while doing my digging, I've noticed that Chinese Lunar New Year, as soon as the sun and the moon line up, the moon goes void, and that's very, very rare. And as the card says, nothing will come of this situation. And so for a Lunar New Year to begin with nothing coming of the situation is a very interesting and slightly daunting prospect, which I'm hoping the cards will illuminate. I want to say this card snuck into a deck for Cindy from Awakening to Spirit. Hello, beautiful Cindy. And she did a series of readings, which I can't help thinking you should go back and watch now. And what I'm going to suggest that you do is, I have my birth chart here, so I might look on here for where I have planets, what house that represents in my natal chart, and then watch the reading relevant to that area, because void of moons are really rather magical periods when there are no more aspects for the moon before it enters a new house or sign. So the idea that we reach a Lunar New Year beginning and there immediately be a void is really quite fascinating. I've made a mini moon ephemeris, which you'll find in a link in the description box below. And also I'm adding in that link, it takes you to my website where you'll find the ephemeris. There's also a reading I did about void of course moons from a year ago, oddly, just as we were going into year of the metal rat and we're moving into year of the metal ox. So that's the background of this. This is also, I don't quite know where this reading is going to go, because it feels like there's so much. I mean, my energy today and yesterday while doing all this work is it's intense. It's making my whole body kind of vibrate and shake. So the ephemeris is just a few lines long. Whether you can see that, I'm not sure, because without my glasses on, I can't see the camera. But also, I want to talk about the stellium, because stellium, and they're all explained in this article, you can see on the stellium, is it in the screen? You can see on the stellium that these planets are lining up down here, but also you'll read in the article about how they're cutting Pluto out of the equation. And what's going to happen is the moon is going to enter Aquarius on the 10th of February, and then it's going to pass in front of Saturn, then Venus, then Jupiter, then it's going to go square with Mercury, who's in Taurus, and then it's going to pass in front of the sun. So the moon is the key energy moving through this, because the moon is us, it's our personal feeling. So these videos that Cindy did, the time I suggest you watch them is after the 9th of February at 2:20, 0220, the moon will go void for 23 hours and 1 minute. If you look at the void of moon as only containing the classical planets, which are planets you can see with the naked eye, which means it will move into a conjunction as it passes Pluto, but it's doing that as if it's not talking to Pluto. So there's a 23-hour period to look at shadow work, let the magic in. You'll see in the video, if you watch it from a year ago, the voids are very magical moments. They're very still moments. They're moments where things appear, things disappear. It's very full of the magical energy of fairies and pixies. So all these frequencies will be going on. We'll come back to the chart in a minute. I want to look first of all at this 23 hour and 1 minute void of moon that starts at 0220 GMT UTC, so you need to work out your time difference, until 1720 the following day. Okay, so I've got a funny feeling now that I'm looking at that I might have written the wrong date. I will check it, it will be in the article. If there's an error, it will be fixed. So it's a 23-hour gap, and I want to know what we should be doing in this magical void period. Completing a vision. So we take the mystical shaman first of all. So we have the gatherer. Really interesting frequencies. There's they're coming at us from all sides, these energies, in the stillness. The COVID card, as I keep calling it. So we have 2152, and I think it's worth looking up the angel number 2152. The other angel number that will be worth looking up is 5256. So the three cards together that we have here, the gatherer, the standstill, and the thunder. The general energy I'm getting is gather your thoughts, gather your shadows, gather your distortions and bring them into you. Find a stillness in which you can be at one with your darker aspects. And then sit and wait for the energy of the stellium. So this card of thunder, for me, always seems to represent Blue Lunar Storm. Blue Lunar Storm started, it's part of the 13 moon galactic calendar, or the Mayan calendar. It starts on the 26th of July last year. And you get 13 28-day periods, and then you get one missing day, which is the 25th of July, which is the day out of time. Oh, 5-2. Almost, I'm getting an energy of go back to that moment, go back to the beginning of the lunar year. So for me, the day out of time, the 25th, and it's like this is a whole energy out of time. It's a void energy. I get you now. Thank you. That was the day that I got on board a ship and left the UK and set off on this journey with all of you. So I obviously have to look at some shadows from that period. So I'm going to ask for just a few tarot cards from the Muse tarot to talk about that same energy. Sorry, 1 second. August, September, October, November, December, January, February. It's kind of almost is at the halfway mark since the Blue Lunar Storm came. So, 3 of emotions. Ten of inspiration, Muse of voices, and the sun. So the energy I'm immediately getting from these 3 cards is to gather your shadows, stand in the pool of your true emotions and gather together. And there's a beautiful moon phase, bringing things into this moon phase, centering yourself. I'm almost seeing this notion of your shadows as some kind of slug that is needing to be formed. It's like we have, there are things in the natural world. No one likes slug. I keep waking up and there's been a slug that's wandered through my kitchen. I keep seeing this little trail. Slugs are something that we find a very uncomfortable energy. But it's about forming a discomfort with the energies that you don't like to look at, and allowing that slug almost to just, and it is, I'm seeing it kind of crawl. I'm seeing it crawl over my forehead. But the point is that when a slug's gone, it leaves a trail, a shiny silver trail, and actually the trail that it leaves glows with light. So if you can if you can turn your shadows into a slug, you can allow your shadows to be left behind, to move forwards, to carry yourself into a new frequency. And this is very much about the fractals, this growing yakety yak. Okay, so the yak is to do with, you need to use this period to look at your emotions, write a list of what you would like to transmute about those emotions, how you would transmute them, what you feel about them, and then to create some kind of Galdr incantation to suit your purpose as you move forwards. And that's, look, in the vessel that she's now carrying, because she's looked at all these different fractal energies that have been holding her back, there's magic arising from the urn. And the urn represents the seat of your soul. It's that of the waters of life, of the cosmic ocean, that you've gathered inside yourself to move forwards. And then we have the Muse of Voices. It's the King of Voices, but when it's the Muse, it's talking about you walking alone through your own portal, but you do it through your voice. You put out the message. It's being prayerful. It's about creating your Sadir magic vision by writing the words and then taking those words and giving them frequency. Sound waves are air. We're in the epoch of air. It's like that I thought I was going to be sick. It's going to feel very purging, incredibly purging. So, and then you will move to the sun. This is saying that your wishes, when made... Okay, so what they're saying is, you use the void to create the space in which to learn about yourself. You create the Galdr incantation. But what they're not saying is when you give that incantation to make it real. I'm sensing that you do it at the point in the stellium just before the sun. Okay, so there's a 12-hour zone between, on the 11th of February, GMT at 7:21, the moon will conjunct, will pass in front of Mercury. The voice, there you go. That's when you voice it. You have a 12-hour period to state where you're going in the new year. And then when the moon hits the sun, it will go void. And so you'll be back in another void, and that void lasts again 12 hours. So it's almost like a 24-hour period and 3 minutes when the moon moves into Pisces. That's interesting. I knew that when I sat down to do this reading, I had no idea where it was going, but I knew that I could just trust in the fact that it would be, that this reading would contain information that's very relevant to our journey forward. I even put the chartreuse on to encourage that energy, because this is the rare top for special readings. So, this first void of moon. The first moon, the first void of moon that I just talked about, is it's time to release negative energy. So that's the purpose. Release negative energy and find a way of creating some kind of incantation that you can then say as soon as the moon has passed Mercury. Because the moon is waning. Once it enters Aquarius on the 10th, it means that, it enters at 0121, that's GMT again. So at that point it enters, then it's waning down to reach its newness when it will become a void. It's almost like an apocryphal ending of all that was before that you no longer wish to take with you into the new year. Lunar New Year, obviously. I'm just looking at this chart. So I think what we'll do, we'll take this Double Anna Stark deck and we'll just ask what this, it's like the moon is coming in to calm everything. And as you'll see in the article, Pluto is being isolated, and Pluto is about authoritarianism. It had its bully boy friends with it when it was in Capricorn, but last December they moved. So last year really had that energy of restriction, difficulty, a kind of a real stressfulness, and it's like there's a restriction now on Pluto. You'll see in the article, I took a picture of this fountain to use as a representation of Pluto. This is what's going on for Pluto. Isolation for the moment, not part of the story. So there's a party in Aquarius and Saturn's thrown it. So first of all, what's the overall energy? Desire to change, awakened spirit. So the overall energy is a desire to change. I need to make a bit more space because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. And this is a healing. And it's about that energy of both drawing in and drawing out. There's a secondary figure hidden behind, which is your, I wanted to say your higher self, but actually there's a distortion on it. It's like your old self compared to your new self. What is the new energy that you wish to be this year? And there's a sense of the Rainmaker from the Shamanics deck with lots and lots of eyes of a peacock's tail looking at you. Again, peacock communication. So, the first planet that the moon will go by, and sort of, it's the energy of the moon calming the frequency and connecting with the frequency, will be Saturn. So what's the moon got to say to Saturn? Or what's the moon and Saturn's frequency? Creating inner harmony and observing our limitations, spirit messages, and mindful wisdom. But the frequency that I'm getting from these two cards is that of connecting with cosmic energy, connecting with the wisdom of Saturn. I'm just looking at the owl and seeing what the owl wants to talk about. The owl's talking about transformation of molecular level, like the crystalline grid. And the energy of not quite, there's like a duality to this energy, not quite being fully present yet, because it's the first of the energies that the moon's walking by, and then flying on with the message that you get from Saturn, and you will all get a different message. Now, if you have time and you're awake, you would, on the 10th, it's at 12:41 GMT. Maybe that's the time to try and find a connection with Saturn. And then 10 hours later-ish, almost 10 hours later, at 22:10 GMT, we're going to hit Venus. So, there's a siren. Venus is really important because Venus is the heart chakra. Venus, in the last Stellium reading, was card greedy. So what's the Moon and Venus up to? Very interesting frequencies. 4951. So 49 is 13 and 6. So going out of time to reach a balance point, you have illusion and intimacy. Aye. So, the intimacy is again the intimacy with yourself. It's like never being able to see yourself properly because you've been too busy carrying this frequency. Oh, sorry, just skip back. We need to put a moon card on Saturn. I've just seen the one there. So let's go back and then we'll come to this intimacy, which is a repeat of that energy of us coming into our balance. So, moon please card for Saturn. Moon please card for Saturn. There's one. Take time to breathe out. So look, it's saying if you're connecting to these energies, and you can choose to or not choose to, these energies will happen. It's just how much of that energy you want to fill yourself with, because these are energies that are changing the collective, and we'll do a little collective reading at the end for what's going on outside of us. At the moment we're dealing with what's going on inside of us. So take time to breathe out. It's kind of important for, I would say, the Saturn aspect of this stellium to remember the importance of breath. Breath is the sustainer of life, and we're all masked. And so it's quite important that we reveal that to ourselves, or open it to ourselves, to remind ourselves in our incantations how important it is that we return to being allowed to breathe. Because breath is a natural process. We breathe to live. And yet the COVID is creating this environment where something as essential as breathing in the natural biome of the world we live in is being forbidden to us because of a need to not spread germs. So I would definitely say that's an important aspect of your incantation, the reconnection and the freedom to breathe. So back to the illusion of Venus and the intimacy. The energy I'm picking up now is the illusion of Venus previously in Earth energy. It's like Venus is saying, I wasn't able to resonate in a frequency that I really wanted you to feel, and so there was an illusion to the intimacies that you experienced. I'm not saying they weren't amazing, that's not the point. What I'm saying is there's some new energy coming forwards from Venus that's about being totally in balance with yourself, your ego being calmed, because there is something about the way the moon is calming each planet as it moves through and then rebirths as a new solar year. So be bold and make the first move, Cardinal Moon. So a Cardinal Moon is about rule changes, changing the old illusions, changing those frequencies, seeing the world for how you have constructed your place within it, and working out how you wish to move forwards. When it says be bold and make the first move, go outside of your normal parameters of what you think you're allowed to have, you deserve, or you're entitled to have, and make the first move. Make the contract with Venus to have the things that make your heart sing. Okay, so then after Venus, which was at 22:10 GMT, at 23:28 the moon will pass in front of and calm and connect with Jupiter. And these are obviously all in Aquarius because of that line-up stellium. So let's see what's the moon and Jupiter's communication about. 3-6, reclaiming your mind and the animal kingdom. So there's a third eye activation going on. The point of Jupiter is the great gift giver. It's the giant planet. It's bigger than everything. It pushes energy. It magnifies. And this is about magnifying this awakening. Look, I'm not saying if you follow this, you will get your awakening that day. You're setting up the energy intentions. You're connecting with the new frequencies. I'm also not saying that people that don't follow it won't awaken at that period. People are going to awaken because we're in a new air energy. So there's lots of new frequencies, but everything takes, I don't want to say just time, it takes a divine passage for each person. And regardless of whether people connect to this energy or don't connect to it at all, at some point they will be caught up in this Jupiter fractal growth that will eventually awaken them. And the Animal Kingdom card is this card of rage, the sacred rage. It's like the whole world has woken up, but the spirit world as well. Spirit animals have woken up. I'm getting this thing where I don't know whether we will do it or not. But sorry, I'm just seeing something else at the bottom of this card that I can't quite see. There's something about the movement from this wolf moon to now, obviously, because the wolf moon was the full moon and we're heading, but the wolf's really catching my eye. But the bear is coming across as polar bear frequency. And I had a vision. Whether we'll do it or not, I don't know. We'll see. But there was this notion of us. Maybe we do it on one of these days. Let's see what goes on in the reading. But the idea of us connecting with the energy of polar bear spirit. You know, do a bit of research, dig out what polar bears are, and then we'll see whether there's a moment. Maybe it's at the point of the new moon, the new lunar year. This notion of concentrating on polar bear spirit and pushing out an energy of loving connection but sacred rage. I don't know. We'll just see whether that pans out in a few more days' time if it comes back. But it's an image that they've put into my head a few times of us as a group collectively at a particular moment trying to connect with polar bear spirit together and creating this rage. Okay, so what's the moon aspect of Jupiter? A win-win outcome is forecast. It's full moon in Libra. This is about us developing balance, but a win-win situation. You can't lose this situation. You can watch the news and you can think we're going to lose, we're going to get caught up in yet more troubles. That's not how it works. Pluto is being restricted. Pluto can't act on us at the moment because it's not part of the equation. Energies will change, but for the moment, the equation is pushing the energy onto the collective. It's Aquarius, and Saturn is at home. It's its second home in Aquarius. It's also Gaia, Uranus. It's also in modern astrology, that's the ruling planet, but in classical astrology, both Capricorn and Aquarius are the homes of Saturn. So, after we've done Jupiter, we have a moment on the 11th of February at 7:21 a.m, obviously, where and this is the point at which you speak your Galdr magic, the moon will activate Mercury by going conjunct, passing in front of Mercury. So, what's the moon's relationship at this point with Mercury? So, it's the medicine, and it's the correcting, the balance being restored to our fragmented soul. So, Mercury, it's really interesting because they're silent. Both of these cards are silent. They're enormously profound. The power within them of Mercury reaching inside the heart, because Mercury at this point has got the frequency of Saturn, Venus, and Jupiter working with it. It's like a great sense of peace will come. I feel like there's something else needs to be pulled out about that. So can you please give some extra explainers on... Actually no, before I do that, let's put the moon card in. It might have the explainer. Well, I'm beginning to heat up a bit in here. It must be this velour. So, what's Mercury and the moon? Luck is on your side. And look, it's a win-win situation and luck is on your side. We're really moving into a frequency that's so beneficial to us. It's saying shoot your arrow, which would be to speak, but I feel like we need some kind of clarifying frequency on that. So can we please have some clarifiers on this moment for singing, speaking, declaring our incantation of what we require moving forwards. 3 cards face down, 2 together. we've got another awakening card and a healing card. The Four of Voices, which is the Four of Swords, air. It's like becoming one with the cosmos. You know, in this, the figure is bathing in cosmic energy. And I believe Saturn, yes, is on this card. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm being given here, because I'm getting a planet that's kind of telling me it's Pluto. Oh, you see, that's interesting. Never seen that before. Okay, so give your shadows, give these fractals to Pluto. In that void that's taking place that I talked about at the beginning, before the stellium, before we move into this 23-hour and 1 minute one, give your fractal frequencies to Pluto. Give them to Pluto. Let them go to Pluto, who's alone. And Pluto is here, standing over your shadows. Is your shadow aspect. It will hang on to your shadows. It will take the memory of them. You can take with you the way in which you've integrated them to you. But the heaviness of them, Pluto will take. It's almost like Pluto's so alone and so isolated that Pluto is just desperate for anything. It's like the little lonely abandoned child, and it will just take anything. But this is an awakening, you know. This, I often see this as Kali Ma reaching in, but what it's in this card, it's Mercury and the Moon reaching inside you emotionally, triggering a correction, retuning, recalibrating your emotions in your now singular heart chakra, and then what? The energy just flying out. And then what's the final card? Oh, see, look, it's so beautiful. This is the point at which you are giving voice, which is the healing to speak, Four of Swords, Four of Voices. Give your message out to the cosmos at this point when the Moon conjuncts Mercury, and you will be setting up the frequency to move into Muse of materials, to bring yourself into a new embodiment in the real world. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to understand that it's a process that we're going through as this year moves on, but we're in the essence of the newness of air epoch. So next we have at 9:54, so about 2.5 hours after this moment, the Moon will square Mars at 18 degrees 16 minutes in both Aquarius and Taurus. And this is about the Moon now preparing to push back the frequency of Mars, because Mars is in Taurus with Gaia, Uranus. And because Gaia owns Aquarius, it's like the Gaia energy is overseeing this magic, and Gaia is about breaking free, undoing things that restrict us. And because the lineup of the stellium is hiding the death and rebirth, we can give our energy to Pluto, and then this new frequency, all of the planets are all looking the other way. Turn around, turn your back on those things. So let's see what the Moon square Mars has to say. See, this one's got 3. Okay, so we have 50 soul journey. it's a pathway forwards. So part of creating the pathway forwards is to just push back the fire, to feel a sense of calm, journeying past 11, which is dark night of the soul, life brings new meaning. It's the turning point on our collective disconnection. It's the point at which, if we can just calm the rage, we can settle the energies into this frequency of love and light, which does come across as the balanced frequency of Jupiter so often. It's like if we can calm the fire, those wonderful, the eyes are back on this card. This is like a kind of lilac peacock, a spiritual energy being pushed down by the planets, just waiting for, and they're all really distant heavenly bodies, and then we're just waiting for the activation of the final part, which will be the sun. So this is the point at which, as that fire of Mars just gets calmed and earthed with the Gaia Uranus frequency in Taurus, earthing, we're heading towards metal ox, another very earthed frequency. And I want to say armoured. We are armoured by metal ox. We're strong and we're protected. So connecting into that journey forwards, knowing that we've pushed our shadows away and that we've got the power of the entire stellium almost now behind us. So what's the moon? Conclusions are within reach, a full moon eclipse. At this point, when the fire is pushed back, then the conclusions are in reach. The energy begins to push forwards. So, the final part, obviously, takes place at 1905, when the moon will conjunct and birth itself in Aquarius as the new moon in Aquarius, which is the start of the Chinese Lunar New Year. So this is when the stellium completes its layout, and then the moon will go immediately void. We'll ask about that void finally at the end. So 54 is retreat. Oh, so it wasn't that way round, it was this one first. So it began with frequency. There is a change of frequency. This is the magic. You've sounded your magic, it's come from you, and now you get to just chill. Chill in your own Eden, chill in your own paradise, chill in your own celestial city. But at the point of the new year, don't wish for anything. Practice just living in the now. Don't look at something and think, oh, I wished I'd fixed that, or look at something and think, oh, I should have done that. Do nothing. Just from that point, for the next 12 hours, 12 and a half hours, just live in the now. It's a real opportunity to just be. Don't look at any news. Don't look at anything, I would say. Just go into your now. Put music on. Do some kind of creative project, maybe. It's not going to come, nothing will come of it because it's a void. But just settle into the energies. Just chill out in the newness of something that has yet to unfold. Maybe connect with fairies and spirits and goblins and pixies. So this is 11. The frequency is resonated from you to the cosmos, to the stellium, back down into the earth, and you've got a 5-4, a divine frequency in the earth, a new space, that frequency that you've been setting up. So what does the moon want to say about its birthing? Don't let pride get in your way. Don't let pride get in your way. It's not so much pride so much as don't let your ego set an agenda for those 12 hours. Go into a complete silence. So now let's just look at the frequency of what happens once we move the moon into Pisces. So the moon moving into Pisces. Oh, that was a big spillage. Is there another one that's on that pile? No. Okay, so the first two that jumped out was communication and living light energy. So that's like the boom after this 12-hour of just floating lightly. It's the frequency of the spiritual awakening. It's like if you can be still for those 12 hours. I mean, look, if you're in a time zone where you can sleep during those 12 hours, brilliant. If you're not, try and find a way to do something during it. So it's kind of, the moon begins here at GMT at 7:05, and then you could just go to bed early and just be in the now, let yourself float off into the astral. But when you wake and you find that the moon's moved finally into Pisces, there's a whole new sense of transformation within you. This communication is the energy of air moving through you, passing through your body, and it's really powerful stuff. We've got a spiritual evolution and guard your energy, but actually they were the other way around when they fell, and as I turned them, they looked the other way around. So, wolf again. The wolf is here howling. It's like that rage. It's that polar bear frequency. It's this. Is the energy of release. You need to release the stellium frequency from within you as a ray, an energy like this, pouring from you, singing out, because the way to guard your energy is to be in the now, be in the new air epoch energy, pushing out your air epoch energy, because you've dealt with your shadows, and just pushing that energy out. If you are pushing through with air energy, nothing can get to you. It's like being a magical beacon that moves forwards. And that is the spiritual evolution. So this awakened spirit, that's the overall theme, is where we're heading as the moon hits Pisces. And then it ended with 47. Freedom. Your light and your dark being in balance. Your yin and your yang being in balance. Riding, racing, charging, full again of I want to say like your entire life tattooed upon you, shown to the whole world, but not in any kind of sense of shame of anything. Everything you did was to get you to this wonderful magical boom point. So what's the moon got to say as it enters? Oh, again, that's a lot of cards. So, you have worked through your fears. That card didn't come out, but remained hidden inside the deck, just glimpsing at the sliver of that new moon as it's now waxing towards full. And the other two cards is the energy is now gaining momentum, the waxing moon, which it will be at that point, and it's a new moon in Aquarius. That's exactly what it is, and that's bringing love, bringing this energy, this new wherever that card was, this recalibrated frequency forwards into the new energy that's moving on. Really, really rather magical stuff. So, that's the new Stellium Void of Moon reading. I'm going to finish the article, put that together and add some photographs to it, and then I will be with you to do another reading, and I will do another sound healing reading as well this week. So there's lots of exciting stuff to come. Maybe there'll be a stellium healing. I don't know, because I want to keep using a deck to tell me what we need to heal rather than me trying to dictate where energy frequencies should go. Anyway, that's the reading for today. Wassail, you beautiful people.